Let's shoot.
Shoot.
Let's shoot, girl. Let's shoot.
Okay.
Shoot.
Yeah. Well, hi, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Are you ready for your early morning departure tomorrow?
I am. Look, I got the flannels going. I'm ready because I'm gonna be going up to colder weather.
Well, I'm sorry we're not doing this in person, but this is great. Technology is amazing, and I like that we have such good habits that we still get together weekly to go over our books and our learning and to share a drink together. Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers. So
what's the whiskey that we're drinking again this week?
All right. So, oh my gosh, this is so good, isn't it? High Bank Distillery.
Great. And I'm drinking it neat, and it is just very flavorful. Yes. Such a great job, guys.
Yeah, High Bank Distillery up in Columbus, Ohio. Kevin and I lived there for quite a few years. We met some amazing people, and Columbus, Ohio, I love how they support local. So when this distillery opened, when Jordan Hellman opened this distillery, it got such warmth and acceptance from the city, especially since he did such a good job with quality, like the food that he prepares there. Obviously, the spirits, we talked last week how it won so many awards. And I actually did a little more research. I liked this name Whisky War, but I really didn't understand where it came from. And by doing a little research, apparently just at the time that Prohibition had started, somebody named Henry Corbin, I guess, had a saloon, and his saloon went under attack several times due to Prohibition. And he came out, I guess, with like 2 pistols ready to fight these individuals who were pro-Prohibition, because he wasn't, right? And that began the supposedly famed Whisky Wars. So
cool
name for it. Neat story. So cool.
I love whiskey lore.
Right? Oh, there's so much to learn about whiskey and the and everything that happened through Prohibition. I feel like that could be, I would love to find a business book about that. We'll have to find something about that, huh?
Yes. And then we open a distillery.
Oh, hey. So, all right, my friend, the book, talk to us. What book did you pick out?
So we are on the 2nd episode of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits is one of those books that I just absolutely love because, it's very easy just to go in and say, okay, I want to change this habit or that habit about myself. And, I'm not happy about where I'm at here. I want to work on something. And we always have these, especially around New Year's, everyone starts, you spend December kind of reflecting about all the stuff that happened to you. Either it was good or bad, right?
Right.
And then the things that were good you want to build on, and the stuff that was bad you want to change, and then New Year's resolutions come in, and where everyone wants to lose like 80 pounds or become an 18 gazillionaire or something, that's just all the resolutions that come in. What I really like about this book, though, is it's a deeper dive into oneself. Absolutely. How do you identify with your habits? And then now what can you do? What changes can you make in order to alter them to the end goal? And so I think the 2nd episode, we're kind of diving into what he calls making it obvious, right?
Yeah, because he had he kind of broke down habits into 4 laws or 4 stages, maybe.
Yes.
So the first is it's obvious, right? And then the second is to make it that something about it is attractive, and then something about it is easy, and something about it then is satisfying. So he digs into really the science behind all of those, which I really appreciated. So yeah, like you said, this episode, we're gonna I think we got a lot to talk about around making it obvious, right? Or if it's a bad habit, he talks about making it invisible or making it difficult. So yeah, my goodness, what an amazing. It's a few chapters that's in this section, right? He kind of breaks the book into like these 4 main sections. So with this one, with making it obvious, I like how he started out, because this is so true. he told the story about a woman who was a paramedic for years and years and years, and she was at some family reunion or something.
Yeah.
He saw maybe, I think it was her father-in-law or something.
Yeah, it was her father-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, you need to go to the hospital.
Like she just looked at him and said, you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah. And he like, whatever, I'm fine. But he was like just minutes away from like a stroke or something like that, right? Like how crazy. But you hear about people who can just recognize things. I guess like we parents, we can tell when our kids are lying, or we can tell when they're
hurting. You pick up on their cues.
You pick up on their cues. Yep. And a lot of times that's outward emotional, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes they try to hide it and act like everything's okay. Right. But I thought that was so interesting, because sometimes there's things we can't put our finger on, like being hungry, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, and the thing is, I think a lot of times too, people say, oh, it's intuition. Yes, I do believe there's intuition, but I just think that he mentions this in the book, is that over time, going back to this paramedic, her job was all around reading people's health cues,
right.
Things that are obvious to her in the health profession. So what she saw were obvious signs that something was wrong with her father-in-law, based on, I think he had swelling in the face or something like that. There was
something like that. Yeah.
There was some sort of swelling happening in his face that she automatically knew that was a cue that he needed to go to the hospital, that there was something, really wrong with his health. And so, I think part of it's intuition, but I also think it's just her habitual training that she's had over all these years.
Yep.
And it was obvious to her.
Yep. Absolutely. So she called out something to make it like she was able to speak up with confidence, right?
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Speak with confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny how you realize things that become habits. And it's really funny. He talked about this, what is it, like point and call system on the Japanese train.
Yeah.
It's funny is when sometimes if it's very bad weather, or if and this is dangerous, but if I'm tired and I got to get myself home, I would like do that. Like if I'm coming up to an intersection, I'm like, there's a car there. Okay. They're going to go first. I'll go second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess the Japanese train system has like the fewest number of accidents, because their conductors have this where they literally have to, as they go through towns and past things, they have to point and call things.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost a programming that's happening with them,
Right.
It's a programming that happens where they're going down. What is it? They have to go down the line, make sure it's clear, all clear, or something like that. Right. And then the other guy shouts out something, and they have this like banter back and forth before the train can actually take off. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because after reading this book, one of the things I did, I started actively naming, like, I'm getting up out of bed. And then I would start doing like I'm getting out in 3, 2, 1, in the morning, and then get out of bed, I'm gonna go brush my teeth, like saying it out
thank
loud.
you for my feet carrying me to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Thank you for my toothbrush as I brush my teeth.
Brush my teeth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of those things. I started saying it out loud, but it does help. It to the point of, bend down and touch your toes, like just
routine in the morning. Yes.
It helps.
It so does. And even, he talks about his wife, before they leave the house, she'll be like, got my wallet, got my keys, got my husband. Well, what we have, our family is notoriously horrible at losing our phones. I think Ethan's on his 3rd phone. Kevin's on probably his 4th. And this is not due to just scheduled upgrades. No, this is our phones get left behind. And one time we were in New Orleans, we were at one of my most favorite jazz lounge bars, and we went up to go to another place, and I guess I had left my phone on the table, but they know us there. So thankfully our cocktail waitress gave it to the manager, and we ran back, and sure enough, she had it behind the bar. Thank goodness. But now, because of that, before we get up to leave anywhere, we're like, phone check, all of us, phone check, because we have to break that habit of leaving our phones behind. So
yeah, no, that's good. It's funny, and I'm part of this cohort that we talk about life in general and various things that are coming up in our lives. But one of the girls had mentioned about like just having a timer. So, you know, when you're going to go do something, like say you're going to do an activity, and it's a form of time blocking, but really it's just a timer. So the ringing sound, a specific ringing sound would happen, which would trigger a thought in your head to cease.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's programming, you know, like the clickers for the dogs.
Yeah.
It's a clicker for me.
But you know what? Actually, now that you said that though, Jackson actually has that set up. Like he gives himself timers so that he doesn't spend too long, because he knows I go ballistic if they're too long on like a computer game or video game or something. And he's also, you know, in that generation where they very segment everything they do. Like they give 100% of their time and focus to this. And then when that's done, cold stop. And then they go on to something else, you know, and he does this through just setting alarms. But that's
that's great.
It's phenomenal. You know, he's very structured and organized. And he set that up all on his own, because I am like, next shiny thing. You know, I'm the one has half the dishes done while the laundry's running. And then, I got to go to the grocery store. Then I come back, wash 2 more dishes, switch the laundry.
You would drive me crazy.
But I get it all done.
Oh, drive me nuts. I can't. Oh, I'm like, focus.
One thing at a time. This is why we're such great partners, my friend. But actually, that whole thing of like setting a timer, well, of course you did. When he wrote about the 3 different groups that were trying to change habits for working out. And the one group was just given a log and said, log when you work out, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second group was said, okay, log when you work out. And then here's some great materials about why working out is so important. And then the third group had to, on the log, set what dates they were and exact times they were going to work out. And then I guess at the end of however long it was, the first and second groups worked out only 30 to 40% of the time, whereas the third group was 90%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's something about designating a time and committing to it, right? Yeah. So if you want to start a habit, then what time are you going to do this new thing? So if you want to start working out, when can you commit to doing it? That's what got me. I'm 4 months in now. I'm so proud of myself. And it's not a glamorous workout. You know my struggles, but it starts my day, and it's, you know, right now it's probably a 10-minute workout, but I do it every single day. And I actually have recently, like something, I have to go downstairs for something, and my body's almost like, no, we didn't do our workout yet. Stop, come back.
Yeah, and it does. You feel it. My workout too is not we're stretching and stuff like that. But every day I would try to at least in my head have some sort of routine. You know, okay, squats. Okay, go ahead and do the girly push-ups. You know, or something that but at least you did it. Even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. You feel better because you actually did something. You
did it. Yes. And how nice to start your day by saying, check, right?
Yes.
I did it. Check
but then but that's where the habitual part comes in, because you, like you just said, you were going to go downstairs to get something and your body's like, whoa, wait, we're programming ourselves differently now. And you're going against programming here, you know.
Yes. Yep.
Not supposed to be going downstairs until we do our 10-minute workout, you know, even if that's just walking in place. You cannot go downstairs yet, you know?
Yeah. It so works. And I get up earlier now, and I actually I feel better once then. So I do my workout, get into the shower, and I feel like so ready. Like it doesn't matter. I actually, even after our Halloween party, I was up at 8 a.m. and I did my workout. Yeah. Sure, it wasn't effective, but
it's funny, I struggle with that too, especially when traveling, because you know flights are leaving early. So you know, I'm typically waking up earlier than I would had I just been at home. But even traveling, I'm still trying to keep up with the morning routine. Whether the time difference, it doesn't matter. It's the first start of my day. Bend down, touch your toes. 1, 2, 3, get out of bed. Like trying to at least, because then it feels somewhat normal, right?
Absolutely. And I liked how you used the phrase like reprogramming, right? Because you can work out once every 3 weeks and say, yeah, I started working out, but that's not going to really get your body into a routine and a new habit. So good for you.
Until your body feels it, it's not a habit. Your body, how do you say, your mind, it's not even your body, it's your mind. Your mind has to feel like something's wrong if you don't do it this way. It's almost like OCD,
Yes.
I actually have this friend where her OCD is, so she's, saying she's walking through the door, right? And she bumps this arm, right? She bumps this arm. The shoulder hits the wall or whatever. She will literally have to turn around and like hit the other side.
For balance? What? Keep it fair?
Yeah, just like a balance even.
Okay.
And but that's her thing. And I was like, well, can you do it in reverse? I mean, it's just, we laugh about it and stuff like that, but it's almost that programming. That's a type of programming that's happened that in order for her to feel normal, so she has to hit the other side. So that's the part where I say, okay, well, just make it to the point where your brain needs to feel balance.
Yes, totally. Well, and what I love is that James gives any of his readers ways to think about how to make a new habit that if you want to start something. So, I mean, let's think the new year is coming, right? A lot of people want to start working out, or they want to start taking vitamins, or they want to try to eat healthier, right? So James recommends like making it obvious. So if you want to start taking vitamins, then commit to like maybe your vitamins get divvied up for the week, almost like those old pill boxes, and it goes, right on top of the coffee machine. So, if you got to have a cup of coffee in the morning, which you always do, there's your vitamins ready for you right on top of it. Or I just try to think, and then the opposite of what he says is if you want to stop a habit, make it like harder, like make it that it's not obvious, make it disappear almost. Yeah. Like, have you had any success like deciding you wanted to break a habit of something and breaking it and changing it?
Yes, and it goes around the morning routine again. My morning routine was one of those huge shifts because my morning routine prior, and this book had a lot to do with how things were shifting. I mean, there was other books and, just wanting to change things, but my morning routine before I used to in bed, alarm goes off, then you go and grab your phone, you just look at it, stop the alarm, of course, right? Mm-hmm. But then, you snooze the crap out of it until it's actually an hour past the time you were supposed to get up, right? So now you're an hour past it, and you're like, crap. The first thing you do is you go and you check your email, or you did something on phone related, right?
Right.
Then I'd get my 2 feet and scuttle my butt to the bathroom and then spend another, 20, 30 minutes until my legs went numb on the toilet, looking at the phone, And what I found is that I was actually starting my day with stress. So that's where I went and I said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I couldn't follow what James was saying as far as, make it disappear. My phone has to be there because I do have a teenager who's
yes.
He's out pretty late, and I kind of have to, just for emergency purposes, have it next to me. But I made the conscious decision not to be on my phone first thing in the morning. Like, it was just the alarm. That's all I used it for, was the alarm. And then I did my 1, 2, 3 trick to get out of the bed, but I did not, I made it a point of not, because it's almost, I hate to say it, like crack cocaine. The phone's like crack cocaine. I was like addicted to
absolutely
getting on it right away, but just kind of slowly saying, okay, you're not going to get on the phone while you're in bed.
Right. Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
I wouldn't get on the phone while I was in bed. So I would get out of bed and then carry my phone to the bathroom, right? And then I said, okay, well, I don't want to sit here. I'm wasting time on the toilet, right? So at that point, I would not. I already broke it, not being, not taking it with me or not in the bed. And then the next thing you know, I said, okay, well, I'm just leave it on my nightstand. I'm gonna go use the bathroom, my routine, whatever. And then I slowly again transitioned to, okay, well, you're gonna go and do your stretches with no phone. You can't use the phone there. So it became this progressive thing. Where I just little by little made the choice of not having my phone. And so now I'm at the point where I'm not on my phone until after I've woke up, used the bathroom, washed my face, did my stretches, read my book. And then that's when I finally
you treat your phone almost as a reward in a way, right? Like you want to be on it.
I want to.
Yes, but you're applying discipline, and it's your ultimate reward because you've put other habits that you want to really create a routine with in front, which is exactly what James recommends, doing. I love that. Before I had read this book, I was notorious for being stuck on frickin' solitaire or those other little car park. Get the car out of the parking lot without hitting the old lady.
Was it Candy Crush? That was mine. Candy Crush. I got my streak going.
So I deleted like 4 games from my thing. I kept solitaire, but it's hidden on one of my like app folders behind other things. So when I look at my phone, I see general things. And if I really want to find solitaire, and I have not touched solitaire since July this summer.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
We've been a little busy since this summer, you know what I mean? But
a lot busy.
How productive I turned by not getting sucked into that for a couple hours a day. And because that's what it turned into, you know, 45 minutes before you get out of bed, you know, an hour before you fall asleep, and then you're only getting crappy sleep because you're on it later than you should.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing the shift in productivity and awareness and creativity by getting rid of those things.
On social media, I think that's going to be, I have this war that happens with me with social media, right? To be frank, I don't really, the only one I'm kind of fluent with is Facebook. But there's like all the other ones. And when you have a business, you got to be familiar with LinkedIn and the Instagrams and all the other ones, because if you have a business, you want to be marketing on them. So the part that I war with is that, I see those as time suckers, so if it's not intentional with my time, it's very easy to get distracted with it.
Sure.
Right? And so I even go through that. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just bored, where you're bored might have been, hey, let me play solitaire. I'm bored, or I just kind of want to get to the point where I want to fall asleep.
Yep.
Mindless
scrolling.
Yeah, scrolling, the mindless scrolling.
Yeah.
And so mine would be Facebook. And so probably within the last, has to have been in the last maybe 4 or 5 months or something like that, I've only scheduled times to go on social media. I have scheduled times that I say, okay. So for me, prime example, because a lot of it is business related. So right after my book reading, when I'm allowed to get on my phone, that'll be the time where I can catch up on social media, right? So what happens consequently, though, is that I miss a lot of posts about friends and stuff like that because I'm only on it for a certain amount of time, and I don't know what the algorithms are on Facebook, but you end up missing stuff, right?
Right.
But my mentality I had to take, which is something James Clear talks about too, is that if it's important, it'll come into your space. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. But you give it time. So if you want to create a new habit, and this is what we help some of our clients with, especially when they realize that maybe their marketing strategy should be social media. How do you incorporate it as part of your morning routine?
Yeah.
And before you move into something that's comfortable, like emails, do you set a time off? Because social media is meant to be social. We understand that, but can you do something within 5 to 8 minutes per platform? Absolutely. Especially if you're more so just responding to anything that your customers are responding to within your own realm. But that can be helpful in giving, those time blocks, like the exercise group 3, right? At this time, I will do this. And then like you do, like after I do this, then I get to do this.
Yeah. It's intentional. Yeah.
Right. It's making it obvious, right? Just like James said. So
yeah.
I really love this chapter because he stated the obvious in making it obvious, right? And it's something that is so difficult for us, like to get rid of some habits that we don't like. He definitely puts out there on how certain habits will go away if they're not right in front of you and if they're not easy to get to. So I really love the start of this, and I am so excited to get into the next chapter.
I love this too. It's acknowledgement. So making it obvious is just acknowledging whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, right? So I think one of the things was a checklist, right?
He said good, yes, plus, minus, and the equal sign for if it's neutral, right? Yes. Because going to the bathroom is neutral. It's not a habit.
Brushing your teeth. Well, that's a good habit.
That should be a positive habit, right?
Yeah. Brush your teeth, people. That's a good habit. Okay.
But I love that he recognizes that, getting up and having a bagel, right? He says, if you are trying to lose weight, that's probably not the best, food offering. But if you're trying to bulk up, then that's the perfect thing. Yeah. Right. It just depends what you're trying to accomplish, So he says you're absolutely right. I'm so glad you remember that. It's make a list of everything that you do, and plus for positive, minus for negative, and equal for neutral. And you got to be really honest with it. And then the things that are positive could almost be kind of a landmark, because he talks about stacking habits. So like brushing your teeth is a habit, but maybe you also want to floss better or floss more, right? So do you, hi sweetie, the girls are down here. So do you have to like set out the floss with your toothbrush? So you stack the habits, right?
Yeah. What I really like about that checklist, and I've done that checklist, brutally honest with myself. And I think that was where, like I said, a lot of the morning routine and me not going on my phone, that stemmed from that. Other things that stemmed from that, the plus and minus, was the amount of TV time that I watched at night, how late I was eating dinner. Mm-hmm. It put in perspective a lot of habits that because I was brutally honest with myself. There's a lot of things I was doing in my day that I necessarily, if now looking at it on paper, I was not happy with it, so I could actively change it. But the great thing about it is that it was making it obvious. It was acknowledgement. It was acknowledging, because half of the battle is acknowledging something you're doing, whether good or bad, but acknowledging that you actually doing, because knowledge is power, right? So at that point, just acknowledging that I'm doing these things, that was just influential enough to say, wow, what can I change? What do I want to change?
Sure. Yep.
And then you're going to see as we go along the other laws and the other chapters of this book, it's just going to really just deep dive into, how to change those if you want to, because that's the other thing.
The psychology of it and the stories we tell ourselves, right? Like you said before, right?
Yeah.
So we're not somebody who's always late making that decision, right? We can change that. Yeah. So he quoted, actually, James Clear quoted, I think, Carl Jung, and who had said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. So I love how, you talked about how honest you have to be with that list. And, for anybody listening, that list doesn't have to be shared with anyone, right? It can be very private. So be vulnerable with it, because I think there's something in knowledge. Knowledge is power, and recognizing something. And it's kind of like holding a mirror in a way, right?
No, it is. It really is. And the thing is about knowledge too, especially acknowledge, right? Because when you've acknowledged something, it's in your space. You can no longer claim ignorance. That was a huge thing, because from the Matrix, ignorance is bliss. I love that part. But ignorance is bliss, and to a certain extent, but you can no longer claim ignorance once you've acknowledged that these things are in your space. And so at that point, that's what makes it real. That's what makes it raw.
Yeah.
Before you were able to say, no, you didn't know about it. So there's an innocence to it of you committing the same thing over and over and over again because you just didn't know about it. But once you do, and then you decide to keep doing it, you can no longer claim ignorance. Now you are making a decisive decision. You are making that a conscious decision to continue on over and over and over again into chaos. If it's a bad habit, that is. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to drink more, guys. Stay tuned.
Right? Well, that did pretty much wrap up that section. And I know you have an early morning tomorrow, but my goodness, like, I'll tell you, just really powerful. And so if you wanting to, I guess to wrap this up, if we're wanting to change habits, bring in the new year with a new you kind of concept, right? Like start now, make your lists. And what do you want to make obvious? What do you want to put into part of your routine? What do you want to stack with something you're already doing? Or what do you need to make, not obvious, make it disappear so that it's not as tempting, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it can be incremental. It doesn't have to be all at once. I think that's a misconception that everyone has is like, oh, I want to change this. I want to change everything my entire life in the next 3 months. No, let's be realistic here. I kind of bothers me when I keep saying, well, a new habit's formed after 3 weeks, after 4 weeks, after 2 months, 8, whatever. Everyone has their own timeline of when they say a new habit can be formed. A new habit is formed the moment your mind makes a decision it's going to form it. Right. And that's it. And then this book was great because it goes into how to get your mind to think that way. So, yes, eager, but you're right. I do got to take an early morning flight. Flight.
So I'm so glad. Thank you for taking time tonight before you have to finish packing and go, because I do look forward to these every week. So thank you.
I do too. My liver does too, by the way.
And thank you all for joining us this unique podcast episode where we had to do it virtually, right?
Yeah, it's a good change. I like it. And I love technology. It's just amazing to me. Every time I have one of these meetings, I say, wow, how great it is that technology is advanced to the point where I can still keep in communication with my friends, and,
right.
We're here, we're having a good time, and we're still able to share with everyone our books and booze.
Books and booze. All right, y'all. Well, cheers. Happy today. Happy Saturday.
Happy today.
Yes. It's such a blur during the holiday season, right?
Happy days.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's like I just can't believe we're halfway through December already. Like, this is bonkers. But anyway.
Are you done with your Christmas shopping?
For the most part. We're not doing anything too crazy this year. So it was nice. But yeah, thanks for internet and ordering things. And the boys are older, so it's easier, right? Like when they're younger, it's got to find where that toy is at or what have you. But they're older now. So.
Everyone's getting gift cards.
Hey, that's so easy.
Amazon gift cards for everyone.
Hey. Well, and with kids, then they can pick out what they want, right? So
that's true too.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Grab a good book, grab some booze, and we're still working on that B. Right now,
I don't think burning bras is going to work for us, so we're going to have to see to have another one.
No, we'll get it. It'll come to us. I'm not worried. When it's meant to be, it'll be.
It's meant to be.
All right, y'all. Have a good afternoon. Good evening. Bye.
Yeah, good evening. Bye, Chris. See you later.